Shalom, my name is Adam, and I welcome you to the parable of the vineyard. Every day, Yahuah is waking up a remnant, a group of people who are coming out of deceptions, realizing our walk is to consist of faith and obedience to his righteous commands. Each week, we read through and examine a portion of the Torah, allowing the Spirit of the Most High to guide, teach, and open our eyes and ears to the wondrous matters out of his law. Join us as we seek to be refined by his word, preparing ourselves for the return of our King of Kings, being faithful and obedient, walking in his way, truth, and life. Shabbat Shalom and welcome, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the Parable of the Vineyard YouTube live stream Torah portion. This is week 7, Vayetze, and this goes over Genesis, Bereshit 28:10 through 32:3. Goes over, the Jacob's dream, the ladder up to heaven, marrying or going to Laban's house, marrying Leah and Rachel, and then a lot of other stuff in between, and then leaving, of course, and going back, or at least heading back on his way home, and some things as well in between. So for those of you that are watching this as a recording, this won't mean anything to you, but those of you that are watching as a live stream, I apologize that we're not doing our normal Revelation weekly live stream, but truth be told, I'm glad it actually worked out this way. The end of Revelation 19 and Revelation 20 really kind of go together, and it's the concept of, Satan and his forces before the 1,000-year reign, then you get the 1,000-year reign, and then he comes back again. I really wanted to dive deeper into that, and I didn't quite feel comfortable with where I don't feel like my search was quite over yet, and I didn't want to rush it, so forgive me. I'm going to put that on hold this week, and we will get back to Revelation next week. So again, if you're watching this as a recording, this won't mean much to you, but so anyways, as always, we got a lot to go over, so let's pray real quick, and we'll get right into chapter 28. So Heavenly Father, Yahuah Most High, we just come before you in Yahusha's name. We thank you for allowing us to assemble like this and to read your scriptures, to grow thereby, to understand them, and to hearken to your voice. And we just ask you to open our eyes and ears to behold the wondrous things out of your Torah, that we may be obedient and do what is pleasing and what is right in your eyes. We ask these things in Yahusha's name, and Shabbat Shalom. Amen. Shabbat Shalom, brothers and sisters. Truly, for a lot of us, this is what we look forward to each week. So I pray your Shabbat gets started the right way tonight. So in case you haven't been with us on the Torah portions, what we're doing is we're going to listen to a little bit of the Word audio project. We're still working on Genesis. Sorry, things are taking a lot longer than we thought. But we've got chapter 28 and 29 tonight. None of the sound effects, but some of the background music and whatnot. So when we go through 28 and 29, I won't be reading. So if you hear my voice and you don't see my lips moving, it's because it's a recording. So with that being said, let's get on to week 7, Vayetze. And here we go. Again, the portion really starts at 28 verse 10. But I'm just going to play the whole recording, so it'll play the first 9 verses anyway. So, again, the portion starts at verse 10. So here we go.
Bereshit, Genesis, chapter 28. And Yitzchak called Yaakov and blessed him, and charged him, and said unto him, You shall not take a woman of the daughters of Canaan. Arise, go to Padan Aram, to the house of Bethuel, your mother's father, and take you a woman from thence of the daughters of Lavan, your mother's brother. And El Shaddai bless you, and make you fruitful, and multiply you, that you may be a multitude of people. and give you the blessings of Abraham to you and to your seed with you, that you may inherit the land wherein you are a stranger, which Elohim gave unto Abraham. And Yitzchak sent away Yaakov, and he went to Padan Aram, unto Lavan, son of Bethuel the Arami, the brother of Rivkah, Yaakov's and Esau's mother. When Esau saw that Yitzchak had blessed Yaakov, and sent him away to Padan Aram, to take him a woman from thence, and that as he blessed him, gave him a charge, saying, You shall not take a woman of the daughters of Canaan. And that Yaakov obeyed his father and his mother, and was gone to Padan Aram. And Esau, seeing that the daughters of Canaan pleased not Yitzchak his father, then went Esau unto Ishmael, and took unto the women which he had Machalath, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebaioth, to be his woman. And Yaakov went out from Beer-sheba, and went towards Haran, and he lighted upon a certain place, and tarried there all night, because the sun was set. And he took of the stones of the place, and put them for his pillows, and lay down in that place to sleep. And he dreamed, and behold, a ladder set upon the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven, and behold, the angels of Elohim ascending and descending on it. And behold, Yahuah stood above it, and said, I am Yahuah Elohiym of Abraham your father, and the Elohiym of Yitzchak. The land whereon you lie, to you will I give it, and to your seed. And your seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and you shall spread abroad to the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south. And in you, and in your seed, shall all the families of the earth be blessed. And behold, I am with you, and will guard you in all places whither you go, and will bring you again into this land, for I will not leave you until I have done that which I have spoken to you. And Yaakov awoke out of his sleep, and he said, Surely Yahuah is in this place, and I knew it not. And he was afraid and said, How dreadful is this place! This is none other but the house of Elohim, and this is the gate of heaven. And Yaakov rose up early in the morning, and took the stone that he had put for his pillows, and set it up for a pillar, and poured oil upon the top of it. And he called the name of that place Bethel, but the name of the city was called Luz at the first. And Yaakov vowed a vow, saying, If Elohim be with me, and will guard me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat, and raiment to put on, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then shall Yahuah be my Elohim. And this stone, which I have set for a pillar, shall be Elohim's house. And of all that you shall give me, I will surely give the 10th unto you.
Okay, so chapter 28. So we have Yaakov's dream, and pretty interesting, right? Of course, a lot of this has been the speculation of a lot of people of exactly what happened here. And I think we get some interesting things when we take a look at the couple other passages in the Targum I want to read. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Targums tonight, since this is kind of our normal, this is not our normal weekly live stream, or the normal weekly live stream is during the Torah portion. So I'm going to talk a little more extensive on this one. I've been wanting to talk about the Targums with you all for a while, but a couple things that stands out really quickly in Enoch chapter 9, just verses 1 through 2. And then Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel looked down from heaven and saw much blood being shed upon the earth, and all lawlessness being wrought upon the earth. And they said one to another, The earth made without inhabitant cries, the voice of their crying up to the gates of heaven. So just interesting little passage there with the gate of heaven. But more interestingly, I think there's a kind of connection here with John 1:51, and he saith unto him, Verily, verily, I say unto you, hereafter you shall see heaven open, and the angels of Elohim ascending and descending upon the Son of Man. And the reason I'm saying that is because we saw here during this, let's see, where is it? Yeah. Verse 12, and he dreamed, and behold, a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven, and behold, the angels of Elohim ascending and descending on it. And so we see here the angels of Elohim ascending and descending upon the Son of Man. And if you have seen the study we did called The Angel of Yahuah, I do believe that who is speaking with Yaakov at this point is the angel of Yahuah, which is none other than the Word, his begotten Son, who we know as Yahusha. So this is who I believe is actually speaking with Yaakov at this point. But if you haven't seen that, that may not make sense to you. The basic premise of that is, I know this is contrary to what a lot of people have been taught over quite some time, but I do believe it was Messiah Yahusha that was in the burning bush with Moses. He was on top of Mount Sinai. He created Adam out of the dust of the earth. He was walking in the garden in the cool of the day saying, Adam, where are you? Every time one of the prophets said, and the word of Yahuah came unto me saying, I believe that was literally his word coming to, which is Messiah Yahusha, coming to them. They obviously didn't know who he was at that point. They just know that he was the word or the angel, not an angel, but the angel. So anyways, interesting point there. I don't want to get too off topic there. I also found it kind of interesting that Yaakov, I'm not picking fun here at Yaakov at all. Again, when I do these Torah portions, I'm just chatting as if we were just in my living room talking about the portion we read. And so I find it interesting that Yaakov is like, he vowed a vow saying, if right, prerequisite, if Elohim will be with me and guard me in the way that I go and will give me bread to eat and raiment to put on, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then shall Yahuah be my Elohim. So he's kind of like putting up a prerequisite here, but I don't think he meant it like that. Like oh, only if, I just thought it was interesting that he said it in that sense. But I want to read from the Targum. And I want to talk actually a little bit about the Targum really quickly. For those of you that may be familiar with the Testament of the 12 Patriarchs, a couple of those are actually found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. I do believe that all 12 of them are completely legitimate. And what's interesting, a neat connection to the legitimacy of the Targums is in 3 or 4 of the 12 Patriarchs, it's very clear that when Jacob, when he gave the blessing to his 12 sons, that he had stated, according to the 12 patriarchs, he had stated very clearly that Judah was to get the kingship, Levi the priesthood, and Joseph was to get the birthright, right, the firstborn blessing. And we kind of understand that at this point, but it's not clearly written. It's there is that one passage that Judah shall not the scepter shall not depart from Judah. So obviously the kingship was there, but we don't see like a clear blessing from Yaakov that specifically again that Jacob gets the birthright, Levi gets the priesthood, and Judah gets the kingship. We don't see that specifically in the blessing in the Masoretic text, which the Masoretic is what the KJV, the ESV, the scriptures, a lot of them are based off of, a lot of the scriptures we're familiar with are based off the Masoretic text, which is a 9th century work. Then you have the Septuagint, which is a 200 BC work, so about 1100 years older. That doesn't have it either. But lo and behold, the Targums do, and I want to read that for you really quickly to kind of give you a interesting. That's not what I wanted to click. Actually, while I'm here, if you haven't seen this is a little write-up I did on the Targums. I basically read the Isaiah Targums version and compared over 100 different differences between the Masoretic and the Targum version, and you can actually download all. So these are just like 4 of the examples of the graphics that I made. There's about 127 of them. If you want to see the differences between the Masoretic and the Targums, you can go to this link here. I'll put this in the I'll put it in the comments later. But you can actually download all 127 of these if you like, and then you can read the Aramaic Targum version of Isaiah by clicking this link here. So anyways, that while we're here. So I want to read this for you. This is, let's see, chapter 49. Where are we? I want to read this for you. Oh, wait. Okay, I already passed it. Oops. Sorry. This is probably scrolling too fast. Okay, 49. Here we go. This is Genesis 49. This is the blessings that he gave to his sons. Reuben, thou art my firstborn, the beginning of my strength, of my generation, and the chief event of my thoughts. To thee belongeth the birthright, and the high priesthood, and the kingdom. But because thou hast sinned, my son, the birthright is given to Joseph, and the kingdom to Yehudah, and the priesthood to Levi. So that was really interesting because I was reading the 12 patriarchs over the last couple of days, and it kept dawning on me. They kept saying that Jacob had clearly given these three things out, and you don't really see those in the blessings. So I wanted to check the Targums, and sure enough, here it is. So I do believe that there is something to that, to the Targum. So anyways, let's go to, actually give me a second here. Let's, I want to read some of the Targum here for chapter 28. There's some interesting things that are in the Targums that we don't find in the Septuagint or the Masoretic on this portion here. Okay, Vayetze, here we go. And we're going to read, let's see, where are we? Okay, so here, this is, again, this is chapter 28 in the Targums. 5 miracles were wrought for our father Yaakov at the time that he went forth from Beersheba. The first sign, the hours of the day were shortened, and the sun went down before his time. For as much as the Word had desired to speak with him, here's that word, right? The Word, the Messiah Yahusha right here, had desired to speak with him. The second sign, the 4 stones which Yaakov had set for his pillows, he found in the morning had become 1 stone. Sign the third, the stone which, when all the flocks were assembled, they rolled from the mouth of the well, which we'll see this actually here in a little bit. He rolled away with one of his arms. The fourth sign, the well overflowed, and the water rose to the edge of it and continued to overflow all the days that he was in Haran. The fifth sign, the country was shortened before him, so that in one day he went forth and came to Haran. So here we go. And he prayed in the place of the house of the sanctuary and lodged there, because the sun had gone down. And he took 4 stones of the holy place and set his pillow and slept in that place. And he dreamed, and behold, a ladder was fixed in the ground, and the top of it reached to the height of heaven. And behold, the 2 angels who went unto Sodom, who had been expelled from the midst of them, because they had revealed the secrets of Yahuah of the world, and being cast forth, they had walked till the time that Yaakov went out from the house of his father, and had accompanied him with kindliness unto Bethel. In that day had ascended to the high heavens, and said, Come, Yaakov, the pious, whose likeness is inlaid in the throne of glory, and whom you have so greatly desired to behold. Then the rest of the angels of the holy Yahuah descended to look upon him. And let's skip down to, so let's see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here we go. And behold, the glory of Yahuah stood above him, and he said to him, I am Yahuah, the Elohim of Abraham thy father, and the Elohim of Yitzchak. The land on which thou art lying I will give to thee and to thy sons, and thy sons shall be many as the dust of the earth, and shall become strong on the west and on the east, and on the north and on the south, and all the kindreds of the earth shall through thy righteousness and the righteousness of thy sons be blessed. And behold, my word, my word is for thy help, and will keep thee in every place where thou shalt go, and will bring thee again to this land, for I will not leave thee until the time when I have performed all that I have told you. And Yaakov awoke from his sleep, and said, Verily, the glory of Yahuah Shekinah dwelleth in this place, and I knew it not. And he was afraid, and said, How dreadful and glorious is this place! This place is not common, but the sanctuary of the name of Yahuah, the proper spot for prayer, set forth before the gate of heaven, and founded beneath the throne of glory. And Yaakov arose in the morning, and took the stone which he had placed for his pillow, and set it standing, and poured oil on the top of it, and he called the name of that place Bethel. But Luz was the name of the city at the first. And Yaakov vowed a vow, saying, If the word of Yahuah will be my helper, and will keep me from shedding innocent blood, and from strange worship, and from impure converse, in this way that I am going, and will give me bread to eat and raiment to wear, and will bring me back in peace to my father's house, Yahuah shall be my Elohim, and this stone which I have set for a pillar shall be ordained for the house of the sanctuary of Yahuah, and upon it shall generations worship the name of Yahuah, and of all that thou mayest give me, the 10th I will separate before you. So, it is interesting, right, that it says, it says, Yaakov arose early in the morning and took the stone that he had set for pillows, right? And I think it was up here that he's... Anyways, it alludes to here that, it said he took stones of that place, so multiple stones, and then later it said he took up the stone. So that was pretty interesting, that I do believe that is what happened, that a couple stones turned into one stone. So pretty interesting. Okay, what else? What else did I want to talk about in in chapter 28? I think that's it. Okay, yeah, I'm just looking at my notes. Okay, yeah, we're going to 29 now, and we'll do one more part here with the word audio. We didn't quite get chapters 30 and 31 ready yet, so here we go, 29.
Bereshit, Genesis, chapter 29. Then Yaakov went on his journey and came into the land of the people of the east. And he looked, and behold, a well in the field, and lo, there were 3 flocks of sheep lying by it. For out of that well they watered the flocks. And a great stone was upon the well's mouth, and thither there were all the flocks gathered. And they rolled the stone from the well's mouth, and watered the sheep, and put the stone again upon the well's mouth in his place. And Yaakov said unto them, My brethren, whence be ye? And they said, Of Haran are we. And he said unto them, Know ye Lavan, the son of Nahor? And they said, We know him. And he said unto them, Is he well? And they said, He is well. And behold, Rachel his daughter comes with the sheep. And he said, Lo, it is yet high day, neither is it time that the cattle should be gathered together. Water ye the sheep, and go, and feed them. And they said, We cannot, until all the flocks be gathered together. Until they roll the stone from the well's mouth, then we water the sheep. And while he yet spoke with him, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she kept them. And it came to pass, when Yaakov saw Rachel, the daughter of Lavan his mother's brother, that Yaakov went near and rolled the stone from the well's mouth, and watered the flock of Lavan his mother's brother. And Yaakov kissed Rachel, and lifted up his voice, and wept. And Yaakov told Rachel that he was her father's brother, and that he was Rivka's son. And she ran and told her father. And it came to pass, when Lavan heard the tidings of Yaakov his sister's son, that he ran to meet him, and embraced him, and kissed him, and brought him to his house. And he told Lavan all these things. And Lavan said to him, Surely you are my bone and my flesh. And he abode with him the space of a month. And Lavan said unto Yaakov, Because you are my brother, should you therefore serve me for naught? Tell me, what shall your wages be? And Lavan had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah was tender-eyed, but Rachel was beautiful and well-favored. And Yaakov loved Rachel, and said, I will serve you 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter. And Lavan said, It is better that I give her to you, than that I should give her to another man. Abide with me. And Yaakov served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed unto him but a few days, for the love he had to her. And Yaakov said unto Lavan, Give me my woman, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go in unto her. And Lavan gathered together all the men of the place, and made a feast. And it came to pass in the evening, that he took Leah his daughter, and brought her to him, and he went in unto her. And Lavan gave unto his daughter Leah Zilpah his maid for a handmaid. And it came to pass, that in the morning, behold, it was Leah. And he said unto Lavan, What is this that you have done unto me? Did I not serve with you for Rachel? Wherefore then have you beguiled me? And Lavan said, It must not be so done in our country, to give the younger before the firstborn. Fulfill her week, and we will give you this also for the service with which you shall serve with me yet 7 other years. And Yaakov did so, and fulfilled her week, and he gave him Rachel his daughter to be his woman also. And Lavan gave to Rachel his daughter Bilhah his handmaid to be her maid. And he went in also unto Rachel, and he loved also Rachel more than Leah. and served with him yet 7 other years. And when Yahuah saw that Leah was hated, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. And Leah conceived and bore a son, and she called his name Reuven. For she said, Surely Yahuah has looked upon my affliction, now therefore my man will love me. And she conceived again and bore a son and said, Because Yahuah has heard that I was hated, he has therefore given me this son also. And she called his name Shimon. And she conceived again and bore a son and said, Now this time will my man be joined unto me, because I have borne him 3 sons. Therefore was his name called Levi. And she conceived again and bore a son, and she said, Now will I praise Yahuah. Therefore she called his name Yehudah, and left bearing.
Okay, chapter 29. So, unfortunately, we see that Yaakov got deceived, and yeah, we kind of like what we talked about last week during the Torah portion. Last week was that Yaakov deceived his father, and we see that now he gets deceived. So I wonder if it's kind of tit for tat. Anyways, so a couple things. I want to read a little bit from Yashar, and this book just keeps coming up as being really important. So what I want to talk about here is when he came to Padan Aram and spoke with him here. It came to pass when Lavan heard the tidings of Yaakov, his sister's son, that he ran to meet him and embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his house, and he told Lavan all these things. So we actually left on this note last week where in the book of Yashar, it explains to us that when Yaakov was on his way to Padan Aram, that Eliphaz, the son of Esau, was sent to kill him. But Yaakov was he talked his way out of it essentially, but had to give up all of his dowry that his father had given him to go get a wife. So he was traveling pretty heavy with gold and silver and all kinds of riches to give proper dowry to Lavan for one of his daughters. And Eliphaz and the I think 10 men that were with him ended up instead of killing him, took all of his riches and left him with nothing. And so that's why Yaakov actually has to work for one of his daughters, because he didn't have a proper dowry. So anyways, and so that's what he's saying. Lavan told all these things. Let me read you also Jasher 30 verses 9 through 11. And it says here, And Yaakov told Rachel that he was the son of Rebekah, her father's sister. And Rachel ran and told her father, and Yaakov continued to cry because he had nothing with him to bring to the house of Lavan. Again, because he essentially got jumped. And when Lavan heard that his sister's son Yaakov had come, he ran and kissed him and embraced him and brought him into the house and gave him bread, and he ate. And Yaakov related to Lavan what his brother Esau had done to him and what his son Eliphaz had done to him in the road. So again, this is kind of telling you what it means when he said he told Lavan all these things. Also, I think we learned, was it last week or the week before, that according to the Targums, Rachel and Leah were twins. So anyways, I thought that was pretty interesting. Verse 24, And Lavan gave unto his daughter Leah Zilpah for his handmaid. And that's not the part I want to read. But as far as the switch, I want to read actually what happened. So this is going to be chapter 31, verses 1 through 10. And again, this is the book of Yashar. And in the 7th year, Yaakov's service which he had served Lavan was completed. And Yaakov said unto Lavan, Give me my wife, for the days of my service are fulfilled. And Lavan did so. And Lavan and Yaakov assembled all the people of that place, and they made a feast. And in the evening Lavan came to the house, and afterward Yaakov came there with the people of the feast. And Lavan extinguished all the lights that were there in the house. And Yaakov said unto Lavan, Wherefore dost thou this thing unto us? Right? He's like, Why did you turn all the lights off? And Lavan answered, Such is our custom to act in this land. And afterward Lavan took his daughter Leah, and he brought her to Yaakov, and he came to her, and Yaakov did not know that she was Leah. And Laban gave his daughter Leah his maid Zilpah for a handmaid. And all the people at the feast knew what Laban had done to Yaakov, but they did not tell the thing to Yaakov. And all the neighbors came that night to Yaakov's house, and they ate and drank and rejoiced, and played before Leah upon timbrels with dances, and they responded before Yaakov, Hallelujah, Hallelujah. And Yaakov heard their words, but did not understand their meaning, but he thought such might be their custom in this land. And the neighbors spoke these words before Yaakov during the night, and all the lights that were in the house Laban had had that night extinguished. And in the morning, when daylight appeared, Yaakov turned to his wife, and he saw, and behold, it was Leah that had been lying in his bosom. And Yaakov said, Behold, now I know what the neighbors said last night. Hallelujah, they said, and I knew it not. So, just a little more, a little more to the story there. And then, let's see, verses 25 through 26, it says here, It came to pass in the morning, behold, it was Leah, and he said to Laban, What is this thing you have done to me? Did I not serve you for Rachel? Wherefore then have you beguiled me, right? The beguiler got beguiled. And Laban said, It must not be so done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. And so there's an interesting passage in Jubilees chapter 28, verses 6 through 7. And it said, And Laban said to Yaakov, It is not so done in our country to give the younger before the elder, and it is not right to do this, for thus it is ordained and written in the heavenly tablets that no one should give his younger daughter before the elder, but the elder one gives first, and after her the younger. And the man who does so, they set down guilt against himself in heaven, and none is righteous that does this thing, for this deed is evil before Yahuah. And commanded thou the children of Israel that they do not this thing, let them neither take nor give the younger before they have given the elder, for it is very wicked. So that's according to the book of Jubilees. So now let's go back to the Targum, and I want to read all of chapter 29 for you in the Targum. Some interesting extra nuggets here I want to read. And again, it's the Targum. And Yaakov lifted up his feet lightly to proceed, and he came to the land of the children of the east. And he looked and saw, and behold, there was a well in the field. And behold, there are 3 flocks of sheep lying near it, because from that well they watered the flocks. And a great stone was laid upon the mouth of the well. And they gathered the flocks there, and rolled the stone from the well's mouth, and watered the sheep, and set the stone on the mouth of the well in its place. So you see here, like, multiple people are moving this huge stone. That's what's not really clear in the Septuagint or the Masoretic. So listen to this. And Yaakov said to them, My brethren, whence are you? And they said, From Haran are we. And he said to them, Know ye Laban bar Nahor, son of Nahor? And they said, We know. And he said, Hath he peace? And they said, Peace. And behold, Rachel his daughter cometh with the sheep. And he said, Behold, the time of the day is great. It is not time to gather home the cattle, water the sheep, and let them go again to pasture. And they said, We cannot until all the flocks are gathered, and we roll the stone from the mouth of the well and water the sheep. And while they were speaking with him, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for she was a shepherdess at the time, because there had been a plague from Yahuah among the sheep of Laban, and but few of them were left, and he had dismissed his shepherds, and had put the remaining flock before Rachel his daughter. And it was when Yaakov saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, that Yaakov went nigh and rolled the stone with one of his arms from the mouth of the well, right? So he's like macho, man. He's like, watch this. And he just rolls it with one hand when, we saw before, it took many men to roll away this stone. Yaakov was just like, watch this, Rachel, watch this. And the well uprose, and the waters ascended to the top of it, and he watered the sheep of Laban his mother's brother, and it uprose for 20 years. And Yaakov kissed Rachel, and lifted up his voice, and wept. And Yaakov told unto Rachel that he was come to be with her father to take one of his daughters. And Rachel answered him, Thou canst not dwell with him, for he is a man of cunning. And we actually learned that through the Targums that through poisoning, he meant to poison Abraham's servant Eliezer, and when Eliezer didn't eat, Nahor, his father, ended up eating it, and he ended up accidentally killing his father. Anyway, so Rachel's like, no, you can't come, because my father is a man of cunning. And Yaakov said to her, I am more cunning and wiser than he is. So here he's still showing off, right? First, he's just like, stone. He's like, nah. So, and I am more cunning and wiser than he, nor can he do me evil, because the word of Yahuah is my helper. And when she knew that he was the son of Rivka, she ran and made it known to her father. And it was when Laban heard the account of the strength and the piety of Yaakov, the son of his sister, how he had taken the birthright and the order of blessing from the hand of his brother, and how Yahuah had revealed himself to him at Bethel, and how the stone had been removed, and how the well had upflowed and risen to the brink, right? So imagine a well where the water is just like, probably many feet below. Well, when Yaakov rolled away the stone, it said that the water rose up to the brim of it, making it much easier to gather the water. And he ran to meet him and embraced him and kissed him and led him into the house. And he related to Laban all these things. And Laban said to him, truly, thou art my near one and my blood. And he dwelt with him a month of days. And Laban said to Yaakov, though thou art reputed my brother, shouldst thou serve me for nothing? Tell me, what shall be thy wages? And Laban had 2 daughters, the name of the elder Leah, and the name of the younger Rachel. And the eyes of Leah were moist, or running, from weeping and praying before Yahuah that he would not destine her for Esau the wicked. And Rachel was beautiful in appearance and of fair countenance. So I always wondered what it meant that Leah was tender-eyed, what does the Septuagint say? I can't remember exactly, but it wasn't very descriptive. It's like tender-eyed. Okay, I was thinking, okay, maybe she had pretty eyes or something, but this is what it says here in the Targum, so pretty interesting. And Yaakov loved Rachel, and he said, I will serve thee 7 years for Rachel, thy younger daughter. And Laban said with deceit, it is better that I give her to you than to another man. Abide with me. And Yaakov served for Rachel 7 years, and they seemed in his eyes as a few days, because he loved her. And Yaakov said to Laban, give me my wife, for the days of my service are completed, and I will go in with her. And Laban gathered all the men of the place and made them a feast. Answering, he said to them, behold, 7 years since Yaakov came to us, the wells have not failed, and the water places are multiplied. And now come, let us counsel against him cunning counsel, that he may remain with us. And they gave him cunning counsel that he should take Leah to him instead of Rachel. That makes a lot of sense to me as to how this actually went down. And it was in the evening that he brought Leah his daughter and introduced her to him, and he went in with her, and Laban gave to him Zilpah his daughter, whom his concubine had borne to him, and he delivered her to Leah his daughter to be her handmaid. And it was the time of the morning, and he saw her, and behold, she was Leah, whom all the night he thought to be Rachel, because Rachel had delivered to her all the things which Yaakov had presented to her. But when he saw this, he said to Laban, what is this that thou hast done to me? Was it not for Rachel that I served with thee? Why hast thou deceived me? And Laban said, it is not done so in our place to give the younger before the elder. Fulfill now the 7 days of the feast of this, and I will give thee also that for the service which thou shalt serve with me yet 7 other years. So basically it's like, finish up the 7 days of the wedding feast. I'll give you Rachel too, but serve me another 7 years. And Yaakov was like, all right. And Yaakov did so, and fulfilled the 7 days of the feast of Leah, and he gave him Rachel his daughter to wife. And Laban gave to Rachel his daughter Bilhah, whom his concubine bare him, and he delivered her unto her to be her handmaid. And he went in also unto Rachel, and he loved Rachel more than Leah, and he served with him for her 7 years other years. And it was revealed before Yahuah that Leah was not loved in the sight of Yaakov. And he said in his word that sons should be given her, and that Rachel should be barren. And Leah conceived and bare a son, and called his name Reuben. For she said, my affliction was manifest before Yahuah. Therefore, actually, I think the rest of this is actually about the same. So we'll stop there. But something we've been discussing on the channel, is a lot of people have a bad taste in their mouth with the Torah because of back in the days there was polygyny, and this is one of the negatives about polygyny. I don't think this is a perfect scenario here. We see that he's got 2 wives. At this point, he ends up having 4 if you count the handmaids, because it says that they especially in the Targum it says that They were given to him as a wife. But this is not a perfect scenario. Matter of fact, I mean, that's pretty hard. Like, if you were Leah, that's a hard life to know that you were not wanted. Originally, I'm sure Yaakov was a good man to her and did her well, but I mean, I can only imagine what Leah felt like. That was pretty tough. And we see that in the Torah, that it's a commandment that if a man have two wives, one loved and one hated, that the birthright would go to the firstborn, regardless if it was born from the wife he hated or not. And maybe that commandment was formed because of what happened here with Yaakov and the loved wife and the hated wife. I don't know if he actually hated her, but maybe he just didn't embrace her or love her like he loved Rachel. So, I will not condemn polygyny because it's in the Torah. It's clearly in the Torah. And I know I've gotten a lot of emails from a lot of you, mostly women, that are pretty upset with me for not condoning it. But how can I condone something? Or not condemning it? How can I condemn something that is just clearly in the scriptures? I mean, you've got Avraham was participated in it. Yaakov did. David did. Moses did. Aaron did. We don't learn that we learned that through the Targums, but Aaron also had two wives. And many others, and so how can we say that was a sin? We didn't see any reproof. We didn't see any prophet coming to them and saying, hey, you can't do this. You should only have one wife. We don't see that anywhere. So I won't condemn it, but I also won't say that that's the best scenario either. So here's a perfect example, with Leah and Rachel, and one's loved and one's not. So that's probably a rough life for Leah. Just gonna be honest. And she kept having sons, and she's like, now my husband will love me. Now my husband will love me, right? And I don't know. It's gotta be tough. Must have been tough. So I pray Leah is fully recompensed in the world to come. So. All right, so chapter 30, let's go back here, and I will just read 30 for you. Where are we? Oh, yeah, keep going. Okay. Genesis 30. And when Rachel saw that she bore Yaakov no children, Rachel envied her sister, and said unto Yaakov, give me children, or else I die. And Yaakov's anger was kindled against Rachel, and he said, am I in Elohim's stead, who has withheld from you the fruit of the womb? And she said, behold, my maid Bilhah, go in unto her, and she shall bear upon my knees, that I may also have children by her. And she gave him Bilhah her handmaid to be his woman, and Yaakov went in unto her. And Bilhah conceived, and bore Yaakov a son. And Rachel said, Elohim has judged me, and has also heard my voice, and has given me a son. Therefore called she his name Dan. And Bilhah, Rachel's maid, conceived again, and bore Yaakov a second son. And Rachel said, with great wrestlings have I wrestled with my sister, and I have prevailed, and she called his name Naphtali. And when Leah saw that she had left bearing, she took Zilpah, her maid, and gave her Yaakov to be his woman. So you can see this rivalry here, right? I mean, that is straight up rivalry, what we just saw right here. Leah's like, oh, you did that with your handmaid? All right, here we go, right? And Zilpah, Leah's maid, bore Yaakov a son, and Leah said, a troop comes, and she called his name Gad. And, and that's the other thing, is if polygyny was a sin, without polygyny, we wouldn't have the 12 tribes of Jacob, 12 tribes of Israel, right? So this happened for a reason. And Zilpah, Leah's maid, bore Yaakov a second son, and Leah said, happy am I, for the daughters will call me blessed, and she called his name Asher. And Reuben went in the days of wheat harvest, and found mandrakes in the field, and brought them unto his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, give me, I pray you, of your son's mandrakes. And if it seems a little weird that it says because El means like, Elohim or like God, this is what the Hebrew says. I actually looked this up, and it does say Leah and Leah. So it's interesting. We see that actually with Avraham, Moshe, Aharon, and a few others. I can't remember. And she said unto her, It is a small matter that you have taken. Is it a small matter that you have taken my man? Would you take away my son's mandrakes also? And Rachel said, Therefore he shall lie with you tonight for your son's mandrakes. And Yaakov came to the field, and so now they're like, see, this is like, it gets interesting, right? Because now they're like making a deal of who he's going to be with that night, right? And Yaakov came out of the field in the evening, and Leah went out to meet him and said, You must come in unto me, for surely I have hired you with my son's mandrakes. And he lay with her that night. And Elohim hearkened unto Leah, and she conceived and bore Yaakov the fifth son. And Leah said, Elohim has given me my hire, because I have given my maiden to my man. And she called his name Yissachar. And Leah conceived again and bore Yaakov the sixth son. And Leah said, Elohim has endued me with a good dowry. Now will my man dwell with me, because I have borne him 6 sons. And she called his name Zebulun. And afterwards she bore a daughter, and called her name Dinah. And Elohim remembered Rachel, and Elohim hearkened to her, and opened her womb. And she conceived and bore a son, and said, Elohim has taken away my reproach. And she called his name Joseph, and said, Yahuah shall add to me another son. And it came to pass, when Rachel had borne Joseph, that Yaakov said unto Lavan, Send me away, that I may go unto my own place, and to my country. And real quickly, actually, I want to go back here where Yahuah opened up the womb of Rachel. We're going to go to Yashar, Jasher 31:19 through 21. Here. And Rachel was still barren in those days, and Rachel prayed unto Yahuah at that time, and she said, O Yahuah Elohim, remember me and visit me, I beseech thee, for now my husband will cast me off, for I have borne him no children. Now, O Yahuah Elohim, hear my supplication before thee, and see my affliction, and give me children like one of the handmaids, that I may no more bear my reproach. And Elohim heard her, and opened her womb, and Rachel conceived and bare a son. And she said, Yahuah has taken away my reproach. And she called his name Joseph, saying, May Yahuah add to me another son. And Yaakov was 91 years old when she bare him. And let's go back to here. Okay. I don't need that. Let me close these some tabs. Okay. And where were we? Okay. Here he's talking to Lavan. Give me my woman and my children for whom I have served you, and let me go, for you know my service which I have done you. And Lavan said unto him, I pray you, if I have found favor in your eyes, tarry, for I have learned by experience that Yahuah has blessed me for your sake. And he said, Appoint me your wages, and I will give it. And he said unto him, You know how I have served you, and how your cattle was with me. For it was little which you had before I came, and it is now increased unto a multitude. And Yahuah has blessed you since my coming. And now when shall I provide for mine own house also? And he said, What shall I give you? And Yaakov said, You shall not give me anything. If you will do this thing for me, I will again feed and guard your flock. I will pass through all your flock today, removing from thence all the speckled and spotted cattle, and all the brown cattle among the sheep, and the spotted and speckled among the goats, and of such shall be my hire. So shall my righteousness answer for me in the time to come, when it shall come for my hire before your face. Everyone that is not speckled and spotted among the goats, and brown among the sheep, that shall be counted stolen with me. And Lavan said, Behold, I would it might be according to your word. And he removed that day the he-goats that were ring-straked and spotted, and all the she-goats that were speckled and spotted, and every one that had some white in it, and all the brown among the sheep, and gave them unto the hand of his sons. And he set 3 days' journey betwixt himself and Yaakov, and Yaakov fed the rest of Lavan's flocks. And Yaakov took him rods of green poplar, and of the hazel and chestnut tree, and pilled white strakes in them, and made the white to appear which was in the rods. And he set the rods which had pilled before the flocks in the gutters, in the watering troughs, when the flocks came to drink, that they should conceive when they came to drink. And the flocks conceived before the rods, and brought forth cattle ring-straked, speckled, and spotted. And Yaakov did separate the lambs, and set the faces of the flocks toward the ring-straked, and all the brown in the flock of Lavan. And he put his own flocks by themselves, and put them not unto Lavan's cattle. And it came to pass, whensoever the stronger cattle did conceive, that Yaakov laid the rods before the eyes of the cattle in the gutters, that they might conceive among the rods. But when the cattle were feeble, he put them not in. So the feebler were Laban's, and the stronger Yaakov's. And the man increased mightily, exceedingly, and had much cattle, and maidservants, and manservants, and camels, and asses. All right, so let's go to the Targum here, and we're just going to read one little chapter of the Targum. Where is it? Excuse me. Is this what I wanted to read? And Yaakov took to him a rod of flowering poplar, and of almond, and of the plane tree, which he peeled in them white peelings, to disclose the white which was in the rods, and the rods which he had peeled he fixed in the canals, the troughs of water, at the place to which they brought the flocks to water. There placed he them over against the flock, that they might conceive when they came to drink. And the sheep conceived over against the rods, and the sheep produced such as were marked in their feet, and spotted, and white in their backs. And the lambs did Yaakov set apart, and place in front of the flocks, all the various colored, and the black among Laban's sheep be set for himself a flock apart, and did not mix them with the sheep of Laban. And it was that whenever the prime sheep conceived, Yaakov set the rods in the canals before the eyes of the sheep, that they might conceive before the rods. But with the late sheep he did not set them. And the late sheep were Laban's, and the early ones Yaakov's. And the man increased greatly, and had a multitude of flocks, and handmaids, and servants, and camels, and asses. Okay, so let's go to 31. Okay. Chapter 31. And he heard the words of Laban's son, saying, Yaakov has taken away all that was our father's, and of that which was our father's he has gotten all this glory. And Yaakov beheld the countenance of Laban, and behold, it was not toward him as before. And Yahuah said unto Yaakov, Return unto the land of your fathers, and to your kindred, and I will be with you. And Yaakov sent, and called Rachel and Leah to the field unto his flock, and said unto them, I see your father's countenance, that it is not towards me as before. But the Elohim of my father has been with me, and ye know that with all my power I have served your father. And your father has deceived me, and changed my wages 10 times. But Elohim suffered him not to hurt me. If he said thus, the speckled shall be your wages, then all the cattle bore speckled. And if he said thus, the ring-straked shall be your hire, then bore all the cattle ring-straked. Thus Elohim has taken away the cattle of your father, and given them to me. And it came to pass at the time that the cattle conceived, that I lifted up my eyes and saw in a dream, and behold, the rams which leaped upon the cattle were ring-straked, speckled, and grizzled. And the angel of Elohim spoke to me in a dream, saying, Yaakov. And I said, Here am I. And he said, Lift up now your eyes, and see, all the rams which leap upon the cattle are ring-straked, speckled, and grizzled. For I have seen all that Laban does unto you. I am the Elohim of Bethel, where you anointed the pillar, and where you vowed a vow unto me. Now arise, get you out from this land, and return unto the land of your kindred. And Rachel and Leah answered and said to him, Is there yet any portion or inheritance for us in our father's house? Are we not counted of him strangers? For he has sold us, and has quite devoured also our money. For all the riches which Elohim has taken from our father, that is ours and our children's. Now then, whatsoever Elohim has said unto you, do. Right? These are good, righteous women. They're like, we're with you. We're with you, Yaakov. Lead us. Then Yaakov rose up and set his sons and his women upon camels, and he carried away all his cattle and all his goods which he had gotten, the cattle of his getting which he had gotten in Padan Aram, for to go to Yitzchak his father in the land of Canaan. And Laban went to shear his sheep, and Rachel had stolen the teraphim that were her father's, the images, right? We're going to read about this in a second. And Yaakov stole away unawares to Laban the Aramid, in that he told him not that he fled. So he fled with all that he had, and rose up, and passed over the river, and set his face toward the Mount Gilead. And it was told Laban on the third day that Yaakov was fled. And he took his brethren with him, and pursued after him 7 days' journey, and they overtook him in the Mount Gilead. And Elohim came to Lavan the Aramean in a dream by night, and said unto him, Take heed that you speak not to Yaakov either good or bad. Then Lavan overtook Yaakov. Now Yaakov had pitched his tent in the mount, and Lavan with his brethren pitched in the mountain of Gilead. And Lavan said to Yaakov, What have you done, that you have stolen away unawares to me, and carried away my daughters as captives taken with a sword? Wherefore did you flee away secretly, and steal away from me, and did not tell me that I might have sent you away with mirth, and with songs, and tabret, and harp? And have not suffered me to kiss my sons and my daughters? You have now done foolishly in so doing. It is in the power of my hand to do you hurt. But the Elohim of your father spoke unto me yesternight, saying, Take heed that you speak not to Yaakov either good or bad. And now that you would needs be gone, because you sore longed after your father's house. Yet wherefore have you stolen away my Elohim, my gods? Right? He's like, why did you do that? And Yaakov answered and said to Lavan, Because I was afraid, for I said, Perchance you would take by force your daughters from me. With whomsoever you find your Elohim, let him not live. Before our brethren, discern what is yours with me, and take it to you. For Yaakov knew not that Rachel had stolen them. And this is very unfortunate because, Yaakov is a prophet. First of all, we learn from Messiah Yahusha that every idle word spoken will be, counted against us, and by our words we should be justified, and by our words we shall be condemned. But I think this goes even further with someone like Yaakov, who is a prophet, straight up a prophet, and his words become manifest. And unfortunately, I think that's why Rachel died before her time, because it says here. He says plainly, with whomsoever you find your Elohim, let him not live. And it says right here, for Yaakov knew not that Rachel had stolen them. So I think that manifested. I think, again, it said here, Yaakov didn't know that Rachel stole the images. And he's like, let this happen. And unfortunately, it happened exactly as according to what he said. So while we might not have the same power of the tongue that Yaakov does, or what he says just happens, some of you know that it happens in your life, that things manifest, good or bad. When you say something, it happens. And that's actually something that I've been thinking a lot about lately. In my former life, I used to watch a lot of movies and TV shows, and what I think is what I found incredibly funny was sarcasm. And in sarcasm, you speak falsely, but it's done in a way that it's funny. But what happens is, I think that is a form of the enemy getting us to curse ourselves. Because if you think about what you say when you're sarcastic, a lot of times you say things that are condemning, damning, straight up just bad or wrong. But it's supposed to be funny. And for a lot of us, things like that used to be funny. I mean, there can be, I'm sure, harmless type of sarcasm, but I'm just saying, just be careful with things like that, because who knows what will be manifested. And again, remember, even if you say something jokingly, but you say it and it's like hurtful or just remember there is power in your words. We may not be have powerful words like Yaakov did here, where unawares, I think he did sentence his wife, unfortunately. And so we should just take that into consideration when we're saying anything, even if it's just to be funny or sarcastic. I think that's a really brilliant tactic of the enemy to get us to curse ourselves and to make bad things or things that we don't want to manifest or to come true. So just keep that in mind. Continuing. Verse 33, and Lavan went into Yaakov's tent and into Leah's tent and into the two maidservants' tent, and he found them not. Then went he out of Leah's tent and entered into Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the teraphim and put them in the camel's furniture and sat upon them. And Lavan searched all the tent, but found them not. And she said to her father, Let it not displease my lord that I cannot rise up before you, for the custom of women is upon me. And he searched, but found not the teraphim. And Yaakov was wroth and chode with Lavan. And Yaakov answered and said to Lavan, What is my transgression? What is my sin, that you have so hotly pursued after me? Whereas you have searched all my stuff, what have you found of all your household stuff? Set it here before my brethren and your brethren, that they may judge betwixt us both. This 20 years have I been with you. Your ewes and your she-goats have not cast their young, and the rams of your flock have I not eaten. That which was torn of beast I brought not unto you. I bore the loss of it. Of my hand did you require it, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. Thus I was. In the day the drought consumed me, and the frost by night, and my sleep departed from my eyes. Thus have I been 20 years in your house. I served you 14 years for your 2 daughters, and 6 years for your cattle, and you have changed my wages 10 times. Except the Elohai of my father, the Elohai of Avraham, and the fear of Yitzchak had been with me, surely you had sent me away now empty. Elohim has seen my affliction and the labor of my hands, and rebuked you yesternight. And Lavan answered and said unto Yaakov, These daughters are my daughters, and these children are my children, and these cattle are my cattle, and all that you see is mine. And what can I do this day unto these my daughters, or unto their children which they have borne? Now therefore, come, let us cut a covenant, I and you, and let it be for a witness between me and you. And Yaakov took a stone and set it up for a pillar. And Yaakov said unto his brethren, Gather stones. And they took stones, and made a heap, and they did eat there upon the heap. And Lavan called it Yegar Sahadutha, but Yaakov called it Galid. And Lavan said, This heap is a witness between me and you this day. Therefore was the name of it called Galid. And Mitzpah, for he said, Yahuah, watch between me and you, when we are absent one from another. If you shall afflict my daughters, or if you shall take other women beside my daughters, no man is with us. See, Elohim is witness betwixt me and you. And Lavan said to Yaakov, Behold this heap, and behold this pillar, which I have cast betwixt me and you. This heap be witness, and this pillar be witness, that I will not pass over this heap to you, and that you shall not pass over this heap and this pillar unto me. The Elohai of Avraham, the Elohai of Nahor, the Elohai of their father, judge betwixt us. And Yaakov swore by the fear of his father Yitzchak. Then Yaakov offered sacrifice upon the mount, and called his brethren to eat bread. And they did eat bread, and tarried all night in the mount. And early in the morning Lavan rose up, and kissed his sons and his daughters, and blessed them. And Lavan departed, and returned unto his place. So, a couple things I want to read here. Give me 1 second. We're going to read Jasher 31:40 through 44, and we're going to find out why exactly Rachel stole her father's images, the god lowercase g gods. And this is Jasher 31, Yashar 31:40 through 44. And Rachel stole her father's images, and she took them and concealed them upon the camel upon which she sat and on which she went on. And this is the manner of the images. And taking a man who is the firstborn, and slaying him, and taking the hair of his head off. Taking off the hair off his head, and taking salt, and salting the head, and anointing it in oil. Then taking a small tablet of copper or a tablet of gold, and writing the name upon it, and placing the tablet under his tongue, and taking the head with the tablet under the tongue, and putting it in the house, and lighting up lights before it, and bowing down to it. And at the time when they bow down to it, it speaketh to them in all matters that they ask of it, through the power of the name which is written in it. And some make them in figures of men, of gold and silver, and go to them in times known to them. And the figures receive the influence of the stars, and tell them future things. And in this manner were the images which Rachel stole from her father. And Rachel stole these images which were her father's, in order that Laban might not know through them where Yaakov had gone. So she was trying to protect the family. She was trying to do a good thing. She wasn't stealing the images because she wanted something valuable, or because she wanted to be naughty or just rude or whatever. She didn't want Laban to use divination or sorcery or whatever, witchcraft or idolatry, whatever you want to call this, divination, to find out where they were going. So she thought this would give them, a better, head start. But anyways, unfortunately, it didn't work, because I think in the Targums it says that he found out through someone else's images where they had went. Let's see, and then we're gonna read the Targums. Here we go. Targums. And Laban had gone to shear his flock, and Rachel stole the images, for they had slain a man, a firstborn, and had cut off his head. They salted it with salt and balsams, and wrote incantations on a plate of gold, and put it under his tongue. So you can see here that the Targums and Jasher confirm each other. And set it up in the wall, and spake with them, and unto such their father bowed himself. And Yaakov stole the knowledge of Laban the Aramite, and that he did not show him when he went. And he went, he with all that he had, and he arose and crossed the Pherat, and set his face to ascend toward the mountain of Gilead, because he saw by the Holy Spirit that from thence he would be deliverance for his sons in the days of Jephthah, who was of Gilead. This is the time of the judges. Actually, let's keep reading. But after Yaakov had gone, the shepherds went to the well, and but found no water. Remember the well that rose all the way to the top when Yaakov arrived? So now he left, and all the water went down. And they waited 3 days that it might again overflow, but it overflowed not. And then they came to Laban on the 3rd day, and he knew that Yaakov had fled, because through his righteousness it had flowed 20 years. And he took his kinsman with him, and pursued him after going 7 days, and overtook him while sojourning in Mount Gilead, offering praise and praying before his Elohim. And there came an angel with a word from before Yahuah, and he drew the sword against Laban the deceitful in a dream of the night, and said to him, Beware lest thou speak with Yaakov from good or evil. And anyways, I think the rest is pretty much the same. Yeah, the rest is the same in the Targums for that. Now, let's read Yashar 31:53 through 64. And Laban offered up sacrifice upon the mount, and they ate there by the heap, and they tarried in the mount all night. And Laban rose up early in the morning, and he wept with his daughters, and he kissed them, and he returned unto his place. And he hastened and sent off his son Beor, who was 17 years old, with Aki-Bohoroth, the son of Uz, the son of Nahor, and with them were 10 men. And they hastened and went and passed on the road before Yaakov, and they came by another road to the land of Seir. And they came unto Esau, and said unto him, Thus saith thy brother and relative, thy mother's brother Laban, the son of Bethuel, saying, or actually, I'm sorry, earlier I said that Laban had killed his father Nahor. I was wrong. His father Bethuel. Sorry about that. Hast thou heard what Yaakov thy brother has done unto me, who first came to me naked and bare, and I went to meet him, and brought him to my house with honor, and I made him great, and I gave him my 2 daughters for wives, and also 2 of my maids. And Elohim blessed him on my account. So now he's lying. And he increased abundantly, and had sons and daughters and maidservants. He has also an immense stock of flocks and herds, camels and asses, also silver and gold in abundance. And when he saw that his wealth increased, he left me whilst I went to shear my sheep, and he rose up and fled in secrecy. And he lifted up his wives and children upon camels, and he led away all his cattle and property which he had acquired in my land. And he lifted up his countenance to go to his father Yitzchak to the land of Canaan. And he did not suffer me to kiss my daughters and their children, and he led my daughters as captives taken by the sword. Another lie. And he also stole my gods, and he fled. And now I have left him in the mountain of the brook of Yabok. Him and all belonging to him he lacketh nothing. If it be thy wish to go to him, go then, and there wilt thou find him, and thou canst do unto him as thou soul desireth. And Laban's messengers came and told Esau all these things, and Esau heard all the words of Laban's messengers, and his anger was greatly kindled against Yaakov, and he remembered his hatred, and his anger burned within him. And so this makes a lot of sense, because now we know how Esau out of nowhere meets Yaakov in the road, which we'll see next week in the next Torah portion. But we see here again Laban the deceitful, who just made this covenant with Yaakov not to harm each other, and the very first thing he does when they depart, he sends his sons, because he's a deceitful or cunning man is like, just like Balaam, right? I can't curse him, or Balaam's like, I can't curse them myself, but I can get them to curse them. But I can get them to curse themselves, right? So that's when he put the stumbling blocks before them. And so Laban here, like, I can't hurt him. Elohim came to me and said, don't touch him. I can't touch him, but I know somebody that can, right? That's a designing, deceitful, and cunning man. So, and also last thing of note in the Targums, when Yaakov said that Laban changed his wages 10 times, well, in the Targums it reads 10 portions. His wages were changed 10 portions. So I thought that was kind of interesting as well. So, all right, so just a few more verses, and we'll be done with the Torah portion. Let's see, Genesis 32:1. And Yaakov went on his way, and the angels of Elohim met him. And when Yaakov saw them, he said, "This is Elohim's host." And he called the name of that place Machanaim. And Yaakov sent messengers before him to Esau, his brother, in the land of Seir, the country of Edom. So we're going to stop there. Actually, we're supposed to stop at 2. Whoops, I think, yeah. Or 3, yeah, okay. Anyways, so we'll stop there. And here's where we're going to do a couple things, because we only have one live stream tonight. Since we only have one live stream tonight, I want to hang out with the chat tonight, and I want to see what you all have to say. I want to see what Yah's put on your heart as to, maybe we'll just, if you want to just post some scripture, I'll read it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to pray. We're going to do the blessing. We're going to sing a song, and then I'm going to take maybe a 5-minute break, and I'm going to come back on the same stream. We're not going to leave the stream. I'm going to come back, and we'll hang out together. So don't go anywhere. We got I'll probably hang out on here for another 45 minutes or so. So if you want to hang out, maybe we can do questions, or I can just see what's on your mind and see what scriptures you've got, or maybe some things on the Torah portion that I missed that were of interesting point to you. Let's do it. So let's start with prayer, and Heavenly Father, Yahuah Most High, we just come before you in Yahusha's name. And again, we just bless you and thank you for the opportunity to have a platform like this where we can, even though we're not seeing each other in the flesh, I know that we're gathered in the Ruach to read your scriptures, that you may give us wisdom from on high, that we may understand them better, that we can hearken and walk in your Torah according as you prescribed all Israel for all the ages. And we just want to be ready, O Yahuah. We just want to be ready for when Yahusha comes back. We want to be the wise virgins, but not the foolish. We pray that you give us understanding in our heart and cultivation in our heart, that we may do what's right before your eyes. And we pray that you strengthen us for the days that are ahead, and to know that we are not to fear men or his devices, and to fear you alone. And we know that you will bring deliverance for your people. We love you, we bless you, and in Yahusha's name we thank you, and Shabbat Shalom to you. Amen. Yevarechecha Yahuah ve'yishmerecha Ya'er Yahuah panav elecha v'chuneka Yisa Yahuah panav elecha ve'yasem lecha shalom. Yahuah bless you and keep you. Yahuah make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yahuah lift up his countenance upon you and give you shalom. So stick around, brothers and sisters. We're going to sing. I see some already asking questions. Hang out on the questions. We're going to sing the song of Moshe. Then I'm going to take a quick break, maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10, and I'll come back. Maybe 5. I'll make it short. 5 minutes. I'll come back on and I'll hang out with you all till about 10 Central or so, maybe a little afterwards. And I'm probably gonna end up cutting this part out so that it's not a 2.5 hour Torah portion, so that this will just be kind of for us. So, all right, let's do Song of Moshe, and then those of you that are here live, I'll give you a sneak peek of a song that Jake and I are working on. So here we go. Song of Moshe first. Actually, yeah, Song of Moshe. Let's do Song of Moshe.
I sing to Yahuah, for he is highly exalted. The horse and its rider he has thrown into the sea. Yah is my strength and song, and he has become my deliverance. He is my El, and I praise him, Elohim of my father, and I exalt him. Yahuah is a man of battle, Yahuah is his name. He has cast Pharaoh's chariots and his army into the sea, and his chosen officers are drowned in the sea of reeds. The depths covered them, they went down to the bottom like a stone. Your right hand, O Yahuah, has become great in power. Your right hand, O Yahuah, has crushed the enemy. And in the greatness of your excellence, you pulled down those who rose up against you. You sent forth your wrath, it consumed them like stubble, and with the wind of your nostrils, the waters were heaped up. The floods stood like a wall, the depths became stiff in the heart of the sea. The enemy said, I pursue, I overtake, I divide the spoil, my being is satisfied on them. I draw out my sword, my hand destroys them. You blew with your wind, the sea covered them, they sank like lead in the mighty waters. Who is like you, O Yahuah, among the mighty ones? Who is like you, great in Kodeshah, awesome in praises, working wonders? You stretched out your right hand, the earth swallowed them. In your kindness you led the people whom you have redeemed. In your strength you guided them to your Kodesh dwelling. Peoples heard, they trembled, anguish gripped the inhabitants of Pelasheth. Then the chiefs of Edom were troubled, the mighty men of Moab. Trembling grips them, all the inhabitants of Canaan melted. Fear and dread fell on them by the greatness of your arm. They are as silent as a stone, until your people pass over, O Yahuah. Until the people whom you have bought pass over. You bring them in and plant them in the mountain of your inheritance, in the place, O Yahuah, which you have made for your own dwelling, the Mikdash, O Yahuah, which your hands have prepared. Yahuah reigns forever and ever.
By the way, I forgot to mention, for those of you that joined late, the reason we did the Torah portion tonight first at 8 p.m. is I wasn't quite ready for the Revelation stream. Reason being is because the end of Revelation 19 and 20 go together, and there's a lot there that I just don't feel that I have a firm grasp on, and I didn't want to just put something out there just to put it out there. So I need another week for the Revelation study. So we'll resume that next week. So, anyways, give me just a few minutes, and we'll do a hangout sesh with the chat.